Hey guys, today I want to share my experience about my trigger return spring on my CZ TS2 Racing Green. So essentially the problem is, well actually before that, safety check, right? Nothing, empty mag, empty chamber, okay? So the original problem is I've been complaining about how light this pre-travel is for the Racing Green. I don't know whether it's only me or this particular gun, or I just have bad luck or whatever. But anyhow, compared to my TSO and a TS2 orange and the Racing Green's pre-travel just seems to be too light. So what I mean by pre-travel is the weight here, right here, just seems too light. And when I shoot, after shooting around and my finger goes back, this kind of return weight is controlled by the trigger return spring, and it's just too light for me, and it's hard for me to quickly realize how far my finger should go for a proper reset. Therefore, it's been happening multiple times that my finger released or returned the trigger too short, and it actually did not reset the trigger properly, and then when I pull again, it actually does not shoot, and then I had to release for longer range, and then often results in over release, and then my finger just leaves the trigger, then it causes the unnecessary, that kind of thing. So I prefer my finger to be in contact with the trigger all the time and still be able to have reliable trigger reset and everything. So anyhow, I know this part is controlled by the trigger return spring, is not controlled by anything else, not the sear spring, not the hammer string, none of those things. So I started to look online and contact CZ USA and all those kind of things, and I did not find any place that sells a heavier trigger return spring for Racing Green, or even better, an original OEM factory trigger return spring for the TS2 orange, right? And until I finally decided, hey, let me just try buying this trigger return spring for tactical sport. Maybe they say TS2 as well on CZ Parts. I believe it's cz-parts.com. And then after receiving it, I replaced it and swapped it on, and the result was night and day. It's just immediate. So now this is like actually with the new trigger return spring, it's very responsive, and it's no longer like kind of mushy and kind of, I don't know how to describe, like just super light and not perceivable, not responsive. Now this one is very responsive. I'm able, so this almost feels like the same as the TS2 to orange. So yeah, now this is the one that comes with the Racing Green. If you see closely, right, this is the shape of the trigger return spring. So one end gets inserted into the trigger has a hole, right, and the other one will just be going into a kind of slot on the trigger bar, and that will create a kind of a force when it goes like this. So if you see those two arms, or you call it two legs, the shape, right, the shape is like this, right? So when it's installed and then the trigger bar goes down, it kind of just laying around like that. Not too much force can be applied to the trigger spring, because the trigger and the trigger bar, they are already kind of resting with this angle. Now the new trigger return spring that I bought from CZ Parts, I'm actually not sure whether that's OEM return spring or is actually made by some other company, but that one I cannot show you right now because I did not record a video when I swap it on, because I didn't know whether it will work. But the obvious difference for that spring that is currently in the gun is those two arms, the shape is actually like this, right? It's opposite. So what it means like is when you install the trigger return spring one end into the trigger hole, and the other one will go into the slot of the trigger bar. Then you pull down, you have to pull down a little bit in order to install it, right? So that creates a bigger force on the spring, and therefore you have a more, heavier kind of force applied to the trigger all the time. That is the key. That solved the problem for me. So I'm really happy now. I think this gun, is getting super close to the TS2 orange. I'm super happy about it. I will take to a competition next time and see how it performs. But just by dry firing it, it already feels like a night and day difference. So that's what I have. Thank you for watching. See you next time.